The ICU smelled of antiseptic and impending loss when Kang-Su's mother gripped his hand and whispered 5 words that would shatter his carefully constructed
Over
world.
there.
That one. I want her. He followed her trembling finger to the nurse adjusting IV lines across the room. A woman with warm brown skin, gentle hands, and a smile that made his cold heart stutter. For what, Umma? He asked. His mother's knowing eyes pierced through him. For you, my son. Before I die, I want to see you love someone. And just like that, the most feared man in Seoul's underworld felt something he thought he'd killed years ago. Hope. The fluorescent lights of Seoul National Hospital's intensive care unit buzzed with their familiar 2 a.m. hum. Kang-Su sat rigid in the uncomfortable plastic chair, his Armani suit incongruous against the sterile white walls. At 34, he commanded an empire built on fear and precision, shipping routes that moved more than cargo, nightclubs that laundered more than money, and loyalty bought with blood. But none of that mattered here. His mother, the only person who'd ever seen him as anything more than a weapon, lay in the hospital bed, her breathing shallow, her once strong hands now paper thin. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The doctors gave her weeks, maybe days. Kang-Su ya, she whispered in Korean, her voice barely audible above the monitors. I'm here, Umma. He leaned closer, his jaw tight. Her eyes, still sharp despite the morphine, tracked something across the room. A nurse moved between beds with practiced grace, her dark curls pulled back, her brown skin glowing even under harsh lights. She hummed something soft, a lullaby maybe, as she checked another patient's vitals. That one, his mother said, gripping his hand with surprising strength. I want her. Kang-Su followed her gaze. The nurse was beautiful, yes, but Seoul was full of beautiful women. Want her for what, Uma? His mother turned to him, and he saw something in her eyes he hadn't seen in months. Fierce determination. For you. I'm dying, my son. Before I go, I need to know you won't be alone. That you'll let someone see who you really are. Please. She has kind eyes. Look at her. His mother's grip tightened. Promise me you'll try. Promise me you won't die alone like your father did. Bitter and cold. The nurse chose that moment to approach their bed, her smile warm and professional. Mrs. Park, I'm Jane, your night nurse. I'm going to check your vitals, okay? Her Korean was accented but clear. American, Kang-Su thought. Her name tag confirmed it. Jane Mitchell, RN. You're not Korean, his mother said, her English heavily accented but understandable. No, ma'am, I'm from Chicago. Been in Seoul for 2 years. Jane's hands were gentle as she adjusted the blood pressure cuff. Your son takes good care of you. He hasn't left your side in 3 days. Kang-Su felt his mother's meaningful gaze on him. He studied Jane more carefully now, the compassion in her touch, the way she explained each step, the genuine warmth that seemed to radiate from her. My son needs someone to take care of him too, his mother said, shameless even in her dying state. Jane laughed, a sound like wind chimes. I'm sure someone like him has plenty of people. No. His mother's voice turned sad. He has employees, soldiers, no one who sees his heart. What would you do if your dying parent asked you to promise them one last thing? Drop your thoughts below. Kang-Su felt heat crawl up his neck. Uma, please rest. But Jane's eyes had softened, meeting his for the first time with real curiosity instead of professional courtesy. Sometimes the strongest people are the loneliest, she said quietly, speaking to his mother but looking at him. But they have to let someone in first. Something in Kang-Su's chest cracked. After Jane moved to her next patient, his mother squeezed his hand again. I want her for you. Make it happen. This isn't a business deal, Uma. Everything is a business deal, my son. You taught me that. She smiled weakly. But this one? This one you negotiate with your heart, not your head. Kang-Su watched Jane across the room, watched how she touched an elderly man's shoulder with comfort, how she made a crying child laugh. In his world, kindness was calculated, but hers seemed real. For the first time in 15 years since he'd taken over his father's empire at 19, Kang-Su considered doing something absolutely reckless. Jane returned an hour later to adjust his mother's morphine drip. Kang-Su stood, intercepting her path. Miss Mitchell. She looked up, startled by his proximity. Up close, her eyes were warm amber, flecked with gold. Yes, Mr. Park? My mother, she embarrassed you earlier. I apologize. Jane's smile was gentle. She didn't embarrass me. She loves you. That's beautiful. She paused. And rare. Rare? Most people in your position don't sit vigil for 3 days straight. They hire people for that. There was no judgment in her tone, just observation. Kang-Su studied her. What makes you think I'm in any particular position? The way everyone defers to you. The security guards who've been stationed outside since you arrived. Your suit probably cost more than my yearly salary. She tilted her head. But mostly, the way you carry yourself. Like you're used to people obeying without question. Smart. Too smart for her own good, perhaps. And yet you're not afraid of me. Should I be? Jane met his gaze steadily. Yes, he thought. You absolutely should be. Have coffee with me, he said instead. Tomorrow, after your shift. Jane blinked. That's unexpected. My mother's dying wish is to see me let someone in. The words felt foreign on his tongue. I figure the least I can do is try. That's a terrible reason to ask someone out. Then I'll give you a better one. He stepped closer, voice dropping. Because when you smiled at my mother, something in me remembered what it felt like to be human. And I'd like to explore that. Jane's breath caught. For a moment, neither spoke. One coffee, she finally whispered. But I choose the place. The cafe Jane selected was a tiny hole-in-the-wall in Hongdae, worlds away from the luxury Kang-Su inhabited. She arrived in jeans and a sweater, her hair loose, looking younger than her 28 years. This is your choice. He gestured at the mismatched furniture and indie music. What, you don't like it? Jane grinned. Let me guess. You prefer places with dress codes and wine lists thicker than medical textbooks? I prefer places where people don't stare. They're not staring at you. They're staring at your bodyguard lurking outside. She sipped her coffee. Does he follow you everywhere? Yes. Even on dates? This is a date? Jane's cheeks flushed. Isn't it? Kang-Su felt something unfamiliar, the desire to make her blush again. If I say yes, will you run? Depends. She leaned forward. Are you going to be honest with me? About? What you really do, because you're not just some businessman, Kang-Su. I've worked in Chicago ERs long enough to recognize dangerous men. Her amber eyes were serious now. So, before this goes anywhere, I need the truth. He could lie. Should lie. Instead, he said, I run an organization. Import-export is part of it, but we operate in gray areas, sometimes black ones. Mafia? The word hung between them like smoke. That's a Western term, but essentially, yes. Jane sat back, processing. He waited for disgust, fear, the inevitable retreat. Okay, she said finally. Okay? I mean, I suspected. The tattoos on your neck when you loosened your collar, the deference, the fact that you clearly haven't slept but refuse to leave your mother. She stirred her coffee. I'm not naive, Kang-Su. I know the world has monsters, but I also know you held your mother's hand for 3 days straight. That counts for something. You're not afraid? Terrified, actually. Her smile was shaky, but my grandmother used to say, fear and love often wear the same face. And your mother asked me to see your heart, so I'm looking. 3 weeks became a beautiful blur. Stolen hours between Jane's shifts, late night phone calls that stretched until dawn. Kang-Su found himself doing things he'd never done, waiting outside the hospital with coffee, learning the difference between a latte and a cappuccino, listening to her stories about difficult patients and small victories. His mother's condition stabilized slightly, enough for her to be moved to a private room. She watched Kang-Su and Jane with knowing eyes. You're falling for her, she said in Korean one afternoon while Jane was away. It's been 3 weeks, Umma. Your father fell for me in 3 hours. She smiled weakly. Time doesn't measure love, my son. Depth does. And I see how you look. At her. Like she's water and you've been dying of thirst. He couldn't deny it. Jane made him laugh. Made him think about futures beyond quarterly earnings and territory disputes. Made him want to be better. But his world was catching up. Boss! His second-in-command Minho appeared in the doorway, face grim. We have a problem. How far would you go for someone you're falling for? Tell us in the comments. The photographs spread across Kang-Su's desk made his blood run cold. Jane leaving her apartment. Jane at the cafe. Jane and him together, laughing. The Yakuza? Minho said quietly. They've been watching for 2 weeks. They know she's your weakness. Kang-Su's hands clenched. How many men do we have on her? Boss, if we put security on her, it confirms she matters. Makes her a bigger target. She already is a target. His voice cracked with rare emotion. Minho's expression softened. Then you know what you have to do. End it. Walk away. Protect her by making her irrelevant. The logical choice. The safe choice. The choice that felt like death. That night, Kang-Su took Jane to the Han River. The city lights reflected on the water like scattered diamonds. This is beautiful, Jane breathed, leaning against the railing. Jane, we need to talk. Something in his tone made her turn. That sounds ominous. There are people in my world who'll use you against me. They're already watching you. Her face paled slightly. Okay, so we're careful? Careful isn't enough. His jaw clenched. Being with me puts a target on your back, always, every single day. So what are you saying? I'm saying maybe my mother was wrong. Maybe some people aren't meant to let others in. The words tasted like ash. Maybe you should walk away while you still can. Jane stared at him, hurt flashing across her features before hardening into something fiercer. Are you breaking up with me? I'm protecting you. By making decisions for me? Her voice rose. I'm a grown woman, Kang-Su. I get to choose my own risks. Not this one. You don't understand. Then help me understand. Don't just shut me out because you're scared. I'm not scared. I'm practical. The lie burned his throat. Jane stepped closer, her amber eyes blazing. You're a coward. Your mother was right. You're dying alone not because the world is dangerous, but because you refuse to let anyone past your walls. The words hit like bullets. I'm trying to keep you alive, Jane. I don't want to be kept. I want to be chosen. Tears streamed down her face. But you're so used to controlling everything that you can't handle something real. Something you can't command or threaten into submission. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Love isn't safe. But it's worth it. She wiped her eyes angrily. Your mother is dying, asking you to live, and you're choosing to bury yourself before she's even gone. Kang-Su felt something break inside him. I can't lose you. Then don't push me away. Her voice cracked. Fight for this, for us. Teach me to protect myself, give me security, whatever it takes. But don't you dare give up without trying. He wanted to. God, he wanted to pull her close and promise everything would be okay. But then his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. A photo of Jane's apartment building, a single line of text. Pretty nurse, would be a shame if something happened to her. His blood turned to ice. Kang-Su? What is it? He showed her the message. Watched the fear finally enter her eyes. This is what my world looks like, Jane. Every day, every moment. His voice was hollow. You want to be chosen? You want me to fight for us? Then understand what you're signing up for. Jane's hand trembled as she looked at the phone. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, so teach me. Show me how to survive in your world, because I'm not walking away. Her chin lifted defiantly. Unless you're too scared to let me try. Minho didn't approve. Boss, this is insane. You're putting a civilian in play. She's already in play. Kang-Su's jaw was set. Now we make her untouchable. The next 2 weeks were intensive. Self-defense training, security protocols. Jane learned to spot tails, to vary her routes, to trust the men Kang-Su assigned to shadow her. She also learned about his empire. Not the details, he protected her from those, but the broad strokes. The territories, the politics, the delicate balance of power that kept Seoul's underworld from exploding. Your world is exhausting, she said one night, nursing bruises from training. You can still walk away. Stop offering me exits. She kissed him, fierce and claiming, I'm here. I chose this. I choose you. In his mother's hospital room, the older woman watched them with satisfaction. Smart girl, she said in Korean. She has fire. Too much fire, Kang-Su muttered. Just enough. His mother's hand found his. I can go now, my son, knowing you won't be alone. Uma, don't. It's okay. Her smile was peaceful. I got my wish. I saw you love someone. Saw someone love you back. Her eyes drifted closed. That's enough. She died 3 days later with Kang-Su holding one hand and Jane holding the other. At the funeral, Jane stood beside him, a visible declaration. His men noticed. His enemies noticed. The Yakuza noticed. The attack came on a Tuesday. Jane was leaving the hospital when a black van pulled up. She ran just like they'd trained her, but there were 3 of them. They grabbed her in broad daylight, threw her in the van, and disappeared into Seoul's traffic. Kang-Su's phone buzzed with a video. Jane bound to a chair, blood trickling from her temple. A man's voice speaking Japanese. Your empire or her life? You have 24 hours to decide. Minho found him in his office, surrounded by weapons and wild-eyed fury. Boss, we'll find her. They want me to choose. Kang-Su's voice was dead. My territory or her life. So we give them nothing and take her back by force. They'll kill her. They'll kill her anyway. Minho grabbed his shoulders. You taught me that deals with enemies are always traps. We go in hard, we go in fast, and we bring her home. Kang-Su looked at his second. If I lose her, then we burn their world to ash. Minho's expression was grim. But we're not losing her. She's packed now, and we protect our own. The warehouse raid was brutal and precise. Kang-Su led from the front, every bullet personal, every step bringing him closer to Jane. He found her in the back room, still tied up, still fighting against her bonds. Kang-Su. Her voice was hoarse but strong. He cut her free, pulled her against him. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Later. She grabbed his face. Get us out of here first. Fall apart after. Would you risk everything for love? Share your thoughts below. They fled to a safe house outside Seoul. Jane's injuries were minor bruises, cuts, terror that would take longer to heal. You should have given them what they wanted, she whispered that night, curled against him. Never. His arms tightened. I'd burn my entire empire before I let them take you. That's insane. That's love. He tilted her face up. You asked me to choose you. I did. I always will. Jane's eyes filled with tears. Your mother would be proud. She'd say I was an idiot for putting you in danger in the first place. Probably. Jane's smile was watery. But she'd also say some things are worth the risk. Are we worth the risk? She kissed him, soft and sure. Every single day. The Yakuza retaliated. Kang-Su struck back harder. The war was bloody and brief, ending when he made it clear, touch Jane and soul burns. 6 months later, the city had a new balance of power. Kang-Su's territory expanded. His reputation grew more fearsome. But in a small apartment in Gangnam, decorated with Jane's touches and his mother's photographs, he found something his father never had. Peace. Your mother was right, Jane said one morning, making coffee in their kitchen. You just needed someone to see your heart. Kang-Su pulled her close, breathing in her scent. She usually was. Do you think she'd approve of us? He thought of his mother's last words, her peaceful smile, her final gift of pushing him toward this terrifying, beautiful thing called love. She already did, Jane. She saw it before I did. Outside, Seoul hummed with life and danger and possibility. Inside, a mafia boss who'd forgotten how to be human learned to love from a nurse who refused to see him as a monster. Some choices are dangerous. Some are worth it. And sometimes the most dangerous choice is the one that saves you.